Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today are the Oklahoma City Thunder frauds. What are we talking about? Well, the Oklahoma City Thunder defeated the Denver Nuggets in 7 games to advance to the Western Conference Finals on Sunday, and they are now prohibitive favorites to win the finals. They are minus 175. I don't know if I've seen it where we've gotten to the final 4 of the playoffs where we've had a minus favorite. So basically all of the gambling odds are saying like, hey, Oklahoma City basically has it locked up. If they were to beat the 6 seed Timberwolves, they're either going to be playing a 3 or a 4 seed out of the East. And Oklahoma City right now, it seems like it would be shocking if they were to not win the NBA Finals at this point. But not everyone is sold on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Marcus Morris Sr. went on to get up on Monday morning, and he said that he was not sold on Oklahoma City. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this clip, and we'll go over his reasoning why he is saying this. And then I'm going to show you guys a clip of what Marcus Morris Sr. said about who he thought his favorites were in the West at the beginning of April, because the top 3 teams he said were his favorites in the West a month and a half ago are no longer in the playoffs. So we'll go ahead and watch this clip, and then I'll show you the other clip here in a little bit. And I also have some numbers I'm going to share with you on all this stuff.
You feel good about this? You feel good about OKC right now as a prohibitive favorite?
No, not that high of a favorite. I'm not sold. I just think that the first 2 games was great matchups, right? They got a Grizzly team that really wasn't deep. They really didn't they come out and try to play. Ja Morant got hurt. And then you go to 7 with Denver. Denver had a rookie head coach that didn't make adjustments in real time, because that game could have got away from OKC, right? They put Caruso, which is a great move. They put Caruso on big fella. They couldn't figure it out. They slowed the offense down, and they got out of it. I'm not that sold on OKC. I just can't, especially when they're going up against Minnesota, right? Minnesota has been proven. They was in the same spot last year. They went against the big dogs of the Lakers. Obviously, Steph went out against the Warriors, but they really had some challenges, and they got out of them series quite fast, right?
You feel good about this? You feel good?
Okay. A few things there. It's very it's one-sided to just look at how Oklahoma City got to the conference finals and be like, hey, they just had good matchups, when the Timberwolves played the Lakers team that had no perimeter defense, didn't have a center, and then they played the Warriors without Steph. That's one thing. 2, the Timberwolves, they proved it by making to the conference finals last year. Well, the Oklahoma City Thunder played the Dallas Mavericks better in the semifinals than the Wolves did against the Mavericks in the conference finals. So that's another point here too. But here's the thing about Oklahoma City, guys. Oklahoma City is really good. They won 68 games this year. That is the 6th highest winningest regular season in NBA history. 5 teams were ahead of them on win total. The only one that didn't win the finals was that 73-9 Golden State Warriors team. They also had the 2nd highest points per game differential in NBA history. The only team ahead of them, the 95-96 Bulls. So they're doing historic stuff. They are historically really good. This isn't a lot of people keep trying to point out like regular season fraud teams. Like, this is not one of those teams. The Oklahoma City Thunder are an absolute juggernaut. They have the best defense in all of basketball, and they have the leading scorer in the entire NBA. You actually could make a legit argument for how specifically Minnesota could beat Oklahoma City. And here is that argument. You could say, hey, comparatively, Minnesota and Denver did not have the personnel to stymie Oklahoma City enough on the offensive side of the ball, but the Minnesota Timberwolves do. And this is how you do it. The best way to beat Oklahoma City is to force players like Jalen Williams, to force players like Chet Holmgren, to force players like Kason Wallace, Lou Dort, all of the other guys that aren't SGA. Force all of those guys to score in isolation. Get the ball out of SGA's hands and force these other, not just to have them, force them to take open shots, force them to get on mismatches in isolation. Because if you actually go back and you look at a lot of the stats throughout the regular season with this Oklahoma City team, the only player that scores in ISO is SGA. Jalen Williams is getting open shots. He's getting balls on cuts. He's not necessarily creating much offense for himself, but Oklahoma City is enough of just an engine and a wagon. It really hasn't been, they haven't really played a team that has forced them. All right, Jalen Williams, you got to go one-on-one against N'Keal Alexander-Walker or Anthony Edwards, and I don't mean to pick on Jalen Williams here. But that would be your argument, is that Minnesota is actually more capable of forcing, or theoretically more capable of forcing Oklahoma City, the others on Oklahoma City that aren't named SGA, to create on offense and to score on offense. So that would be your argument. But let's be real. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Oklahoma City, I actually think Minnesota can force it to be a long series like Denver. I think they're that good. But Oklahoma City deserves to be favored. But for just this, and I hate to pick on Marcus Morris here because I think he's a good guy. I think he's a smart guy. I listened to a whole podcast where he talked basketball maybe like 2 months ago, and he knows his stuff. I don't necessarily agree with him on everything, but obviously, if I'm doing this video. But let's just go ahead here, and I'm going to show you guys what Marcus Morris said in the beginning of April when he was talking about who the favorite should be in the West. And just listen to what he said here and compare that to what I just showed you like 2 minutes ago.
I got him coming out the West. Let's be frank. Adding Luka Doncic really changed it. LeBron can come off the ball. Austin Reeves is playing
he said the
really,
Lakers.
really well. I don't know why you're looking like that. I don't know why you're looking like that.
I mean, just like that.
Luka Doncic just did
like
it.
That.
He just did it.
Okay.
He just did it. Now he adds arguably the greatest player that ever played the game. Arguably the highest IQ player that ever played the game. And they have gods behind him. He's bringing his Louis luggage to the Western Conference Finals. Let's get it, man.
There's nothing that I'm questioning as it pertains to Luka and LeBron and what they bring to the table. That experience, their greatness, no doubt about that. And Austin Reeves has looked absolutely phenomenal. No question about it. I think he's looked like the best third option in the NBA over the last couple of months. The reason why you took me aback with your comment, and welcome to the show, by the way, my brother. But the reason why you took me aback was because I'm like, we just going to ignore what we're seeing from Oklahoma City? We just going to ignore that. We're going to literally look at Oklahoma City and go like this. We would be surprised if they made it, even more so than the Lakers. To me, that's not appreciating the greatness that we're seeing from this crew right now.
I'm not even going. I wouldn't even say OKC was next. I would say the Clippers.
What?
I would go as far as say the Warriors over OKC. What has OKC done outside of the regular season?
I get that part because they lost in the Western Conference semifinals last year, but that was last year.
Yeah.
What about what we see in this year? Top-rated defense, superstar in SGA.
I do.
You said got some young thoroughbreds. Jalen Williams can ball as well. Got some size. Picked up Hartenstein and Caruso in the offseason. Got Chet Holmgren back in the lineup. I'm like, what are they missing that would make you say not only the Lakers, but the Clippers?
Experience, Stephen A. Experience. They're 24. The average age of the OKC is 24 years old. Who's been to that mountaintop? Who's been to that mountaintop? Who's been through adversity on OKC?
I got
who's been there? I'm asking you, who's been there?
I understand that there's plenty of people that haven't been there and get there the first time and handle their business. I think this is going to be on the first time.
To what Stephen A. said there, what are they missing? What are they missing? Why is Marcus Morris having that opinion back then? Why did he have that same opinion now? He's having that opinion because, specifically with the clip I just showed you, he played against LeBron James. He played with Kawhi Leonard. He played against those Golden State Warriors teams. Those guys are from his quote-unquote era of basketball. And he thinks, oh, well, I competed against these guys. I played against these guys. I know how good they are. I know how capable they are. So I'm going to keep riding and riding and riding with those guys, regardless of what the evidence says, regardless of the stats that I pointed out earlier about Oklahoma City, regardless of what I'm watching on the basketball court. I get it being skeptical of their age, but by the way, there too. So in that last clip I just showed you, he said Lakers, Clippers, Warriors. He didn't even mention Minnesota. By the way, the playoffs were not set at the time of that recording. That was early April. The playoffs were not set, so we didn't know the matchups. It'd be one thing if he had the matchups down and then said that, but So by his logic there, he would have Oklahoma City at best 5th in the West at that point. If we're looking at all of his arguments and pointing that out here, that is just being just unknowledgeable about the sport of basketball. And this gets into, and again, I don't want to pick on Marcus Morris. Again, if you listen to him on long form, he actually is like very thoughtful. He's not. I think he's saying what he feels, and I don't think he has any like ulterior motives or is trying to get aggravated or anything like that. But this gets into like a bigger picture thing that I keep seeing online, and this doesn't just happen to like people that haven't played the game. It happens to sometimes with people like people will get mad at like something Kendrick Perkins said, and they're like, "Oh my God, Perkins, is that you, Perkins, talking about the guy that only averaged like 5 points per game in the NBA? You're going to go out there and criticize somebody like Nikola Jokic?" Okay, well, if Perkins can't criticize him, you probably don't think I could criticize him. So is that guy void of criticism? And that gets into a big thing here where it's like, oh, only former or current NBA players can have commentary on the game of basketball. Well, I just think that's idiotic if you think that way, because all these guys, or I'd say most of them, are biased. This is a biased opinion here by Marcus Morris. Listen to what Draymond Green ever has to say about basketball ever. It's coming from a tremendous amount of bias. He uses his podcast as a platform to keep punching and punching and punching down on guys like Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns and the Grizzlies. He does it all the time. You think if Draymond Green is going on TNT like he's going to comment on the Eastern Conference Finals this next week, do you think he's going to have an unbiased opinion? Now, all of us have some sort of a bias, but all of these former, current NBA players, I would say the majority of them have biased opinions about them. So, and I get it. If you're going to be competing at this high of a level, you're going to have a certain confidence about yourself of the era that you played in and how you compared against other players in the NBA. We had this Paul George last week was like, hey, if it wasn't for LeBron in the Eastern Conference, my Indiana teams would have won a title. He said that, and he was completely serious about that. And I just wonder who actually listens to him when he says that and is like, yeah, man, yeah, Paul Pierce could have beaten Kevin Durant's Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah, he could have beaten Tim Duncan's Spurs. Yeah. like who thinks that? Who thinks that? And that's just kind of like my thing is like I wanted to use this as an opportunity to say I hate that commentary. I hate that commentary about, oh, you have to have played the game to be able to talk about the game. That's just absolutely idiotic when it seems like, oh, look, guys, go ahead next year and look at the players and who they vote for the All-Star game. And look at the kind of guys that they are picking to play in the All-Star game. Like you guys can go and you can read books that talk about this. They used to have times in the NBA where players would pick MVPs. They would pick the MVPs, and you know what would happen? Some guys didn't get the accolades that they deserved because other people around the NBA just hated them. And for whatever reason, there is a lot of people around the NBA that hate the Oklahoma City Thunder right now, that just do not like them, that do not respect them. And you're seeing that here in this clip because, again, they have the highest point differential since the 96 Bulls. Do you know how many great teams we've had since then? We had all of Shaq and Kobe's Lakers. We had all of Tim Duncan's Spurs. We had all of LeBron's teams. We had all the Steph Curry teams. And this Oklahoma City Thunder team is the only one to have to be as close to the point differential of the 96 Bulls. Was that the 72 win Bulls? I think that was the team that won 72 games. They're going to win the title, guys. I kind of, in a way, I hope not, because I'd like to see somebody else, but I really don't care at this point. I just want good basketball, and we're getting it. We are getting it. Everyone should be able to commentate on it, and you just have to. I want you, as somebody that goes out here and watches a lot of sports talk, because I really love sports talk. Sometimes try and figure out the motives of what somebody is saying here. And again, I'm not saying I know more about basketball than Marcus Morris or anyone really. I would never ever say that because I know I don't. I know I don't. But this is a bad take here. It's clearly a biased take, and I want less takes like this. I know I'm living in a fantasy world when I say that, but take some of these takes of some of these guys that are commenting on the game that played it. Maybe just try and figure out their motives. That's all I'm saying. All right. That's going to do it for this video here today. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, subscribe. Those are the best ways that you can help support this channel. It costs you absolutely $0. Feel free to leave a comment what you think about the Oklahoma City Thunder season, their chances to win the title this year. Do you think they will lose? Do you think, like my argument that I made there for a little bit about Minnesota, do you think that can actually work and Minnesota can stymie them? I don't think it's crazy. I'll say this. I think Oklahoma City will win. I don't think it's crazy that Minnesota could stop them. If Julius Randle keeps playing the way that he is, if Anthony Edwards can play out of his mind, if Gobert can be a force, as crazy as that is to say, I think they have a chance, but I still think Oklahoma City should be favoring that. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about who should win the finals. Maybe you think someone in the East can beat them. Maybe you think the Knicks. Maybe you think my guy Hallie on the Pacers. But yeah, feel free to leave your thoughts, and I'm going to head out here. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next time.